Good evening, gentlemen. I'm just going to have a small talk with you today on Ukraine. Now, we keep talking about Ukraine every second day, and there's a reason behind it. And the reason is that is like a volcano and it can erupt anytime that can destroy the world. You must remember that the famous city of Pompeii was destroyed by a volcano, Vesuvius, in no time. And Ukraine is like the volcano, and it could consume the whole of Europe. Now, Russia is also part of Europe, but it's a very big country, about 30 or 40 times size of all Europe combined, and it will probably survive a nuclear holocaust. But one cannot say the same for the small countries of Europe, and in particular like England and countries like Poland and Finland, and they just will cease to exist. That is the point which I'm trying to make. And hence the Ukraine war is very important. And I have not yet understood how the American think tank could have thought of fighting this war by proxy with Russia. At the same time, let me just bring out one particular point at this stage that the Americans are, I've used the word, shit scared of China. That is the fact. If you are observing, the Americans have been asking for talks with China for the last 1 month, and Chinese are not giving them any lift. They don't want to have a talk with the Chinese, with the Americans. And why is that? Because China feels that America is the country which has fueled the war in Ukraine. And tomorrow, if they defeat Russia and Ukraine, their next target is going to be China. Americans are very clever. They want to finish up Russia, then they'll do with China. At the same time, they are trying to have talks with China, and the Chinese don't want it. Now, coming to the Ukraine war, I think it's heading towards a volcano. That's all I can see at the moment, because the Russians have really not been able to assert their supremacy over Ukraine, and that is a fact. The Russian army has not been able to move forward like it should have moved forward, like they did during the great tank battles between with the Wehrmacht in Ukraine during World War II. Well, it hasn't happened like that, though the results have been worse in the sense that Ukraine is destroyed, and they'll have to thank Mr. Zelensky for it. I think they should put him like we do in the Indian temple, and worship him for having brought about the destruction of Ukraine. Because all the weapons, all the sophisticated weapons, whatever you give them to Ukraine, which the Americans are giving and their stooge, the British are giving, there is no chance whatsoever that Ukraine can win this war. And it is heading towards Armageddon, the last war. And this, I don't know whether Joe Biden and his think tank have realized, including General Austin, he's been next general, but I don't think he has the acumen to lead America. That is my way of thinking, my thinking. I may be wrong. Gentlemen, America is facing a crisis and they don't know that there is a crisis. That is the best part of the whole thing. They think everything's going to be honky dory, the way it's been going on, we dominate the world, it's not going to happen like that. Because the next step is the conflagration when the volcano will erupt. And that eruption is not very far away now. As I mentioned in one of my astrological forecasts last time, you can expect it around September, October. And that would mean the destruction of Western Europe. I think France is a little wise, may get out of it, but the Germans are being very foolish, arming Ukraine and bringing memories back of the assaults with the Wehrmacht motor had mounted against Russia on 22nd June 41. Gentlemen, the war in Ukraine is at a very critical stage. The Russians are using the latest weaponry, but at the same time, their infantry is not moving forward. Now, if, as Field Marshal Montgomery said, It requires the infantry soldier to hold the ground, and that is where the Russians are lacking. I maintain all sorts of sophisticated weaponry which they are going to display, which they are going to mount on Ukraine, will not have the effect that is the defeat of Ukraine. There's no way until the Russian army and armor moves in, occupies Ukraine, and that's not likely. I don't think it's going to happen. What is going to happen is the Russians are going to engineer how they do it. I will come to that in a little in my next video, but they're going to engineer nuclear explosions in Ukraine. I'm pretty certain about it, and that will be doomsday. Ukraine just ceased to exist on the world map, and the smaller countries of Europe which are trying to catch the tail of the bear and pull it, like Poland, Finland, Belgium, all these countries, and England. I talk of England, not the United Kingdom, because Scotland is going to get away free. So is Wales or Northern Ireland. It is England which is going to suffer a devastation, and it will be the saddest day when the British, which had ruled the world for 300 years, may cease to exist on the world map. Gentlemen, I feel sorry also for all the Indians who have gone and settled in England thinking they're going to have a jolly good time. That jolly good time is coming to an end. Thanks to the British leadership. That is all I can say at the moment. Gentlemen, I close now, and you wait for my next video and I'll give you a further update. At the moment, as things stand, the battle is on. Russians are winning, or at least supposed to be winning, if nothing else. Ukrainians are not losing, but they are holding on. That's about all. A stalemate, and Mount Etna is going to explode again. It's going to explode. It's going to throw out nuclear radiation, whatnot, and then we'll have the last chapter written about Europe. Thank you, gentlemen. I close now and wish you all the best. Please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends. Come back for more. Goodbye and God bless. Jai Hind. Glory to India.